Over the years, some of the biggest artists and most iconic albums have been overlooked at the Grammys. In this video, we look at 8 of the most surprising snubs in Grammy history. Beyonce's Lemonade losing Album of the Year. Beyonce's Lemonade was not just an album, it was a cultural phenomenon. Released in 2016, it was an amazing body of work, blending R&B, rock, country, and hip-hop while telling a compelling story of betrayal, resilience, and love. The accompanying visual album was also great, making it one of the most ambitious projects of Beyonce's career. Critics call Lemonade as one of the most groundbreaking albums of all time and the best project of Beyonce's career, and many believe that it was a shoo-in for Album of the Year at the 2017 Grammys. However, in a surprising moment, the award went to Adele's 25, a commercially massive album, but that was seen as the safer choice. The decision got a huge backlash, with many viewing it as yet another example of the Recording Academy undervaluing black artists in major categories. Beyonce is the most awarded artist in Grammy history, but somehow never won Album of the Year. Even Adele herself shouted Beyonce out in her acceptance speech and saying that it should have won instead of her. The loss of Lemonade further fueled conversations about the Grammys' reluctance to fully embrace innovative genre-blending work from black artists. Lady Gaga not getting a Best New Artist nomination. Lady Gaga's meteoric rise in 2008 and 2009 made her one of the most exciting new artists in the world. With Just Dance and Poker Face dominating the charts, she seemed like a frontrunner for Best New Artist at the 2010 Grammys. However, fans were stunned when her name was missing from the list of nominees. The reason? A technicality. Gaga had been nominated the year before for Best Dance Recording with Just Dance, and the Recording Academy said that disqualified her from the Best New Artist category, a rule which many saw as outdated and inconsistent, which robbed her of what should have been an easy win. The snub became one of the most talked about moments of the year, especially given how dominant Gaga was in pop music at the time. Even without the Best New Artist nomination, she still received 5 Grammy nods that year and won Best Electronic Dance Album for the fame. However, many felt that her missing out on Best New Artist didn't feel right. In response to the backlash, the Grammys eventually changed their Best New Artist eligibility rules, allowing artists who had received prior nominations in certain categories to still qualify if they hadn't achieved mainstream success yet. Unfortunately, that revision came too late for Gaga, and still, it remains one of the most frustrating Grammy decisions, as it deprived her of an award that she rightfully deserved. Amy Winehouse's Back to Black losing Album of the Year. Back to Black was one of the most defining albums of the 2000s, revitalizing modern soul and introducing a new generation to classic jazz and blues. With songs like Rehab, You Know I'm No Good, and the title track, the album became a global phenomenon, earning critical and commercial success. Amy's raw, unfiltered songwriting and Mark Ronson's vintage-inspired production helped the album stand out as a timeless masterpiece. Heading into the 2008 Grammys, it was widely expected to win Album of the Year, especially after she dominated other categories, taking home 5 awards, including Record and Song of the Year. However, in one of the biggest upsets in Grammy history, Back to Black lost Album of the Year to Herbie Hancock's River. It was unexpected, especially considering how Back to Black defined the music landscape in a way few albums had that year. The decision reflected the Grammys' long history of favoring more traditional genres over mainstream boundary-pushing pop. Amy Winehouse, who had been battling personal struggles at the time, was still very happy with her 5 wins, but fans and critics felt that she had been robbed of the night's biggest prize. In retrospect, Back to Black has had far greater cultural impact than the winner. The album remains a classic, often mentioned as one of the best albums of the 21st century. Rihanna going home empty-handed at the 2017 Grammys. By 2016, Rihanna had already established herself as one of the biggest and most influential pop stars in the world, and her 8th studio album, Anti, only further cemented her legacy. Featuring hits like Work, Needed Me, and Love on the Brain, the album showcased Rihanna at her most experimental, blending elements of R&B, dancehall, and alternative music. The album received widespread critical acclaim and was named one of the best albums of the year. When the 2017 Grammy nominations were announced, Rihanna earned 8 nominations, including Best Urban Contemporary Album and Best R&B Song. Given her huge popularity and Anti's cultural impact, many expected her to take home at least 1 trophy. However, the night ended in disappointment, as Rihanna was shut out completely, winning none of the categories she was nominated for. For Best Urban Contemporary Album, Anti lost to Beyonce's Lemonade. While Lemonade was an undeniable masterpiece, many felt that Anti deserved recognition. For Best R&B Song, Kiss It Better lost to Maxwell's Lake by the Ocean. Fans were left outraged after that, reinforcing the perception that Rihanna was being overlooked by the Recording Academy. Her 2017 shutout remains one of the most memorable Grammy snubs in recent memory. Despite being one of the most decorated female artists in music history, her Grammy count remains surprisingly low. The Weeknd not being nominated for After Hours. One of the most shocking Grammy snubs in history happened in 2021 when The Weeknd's critically acclaimed album After Hours was completely shut out from the nominations. The album, which had massive hits like Blinding Lights and Save Your Tears, was not only a commercial juggernaut, but also one of the most well-received projects of the year. Blinding Lights had already cemented itself as one of the biggest songs of all time, breaking records, becoming the most played song in history. Many industry insiders expected The Weeknd to dominate that year's Grammy, potentially sweeping the major categories. However, when the nominations were announced, his name was nowhere to be found. That left fans, critics, and the whole music industry in shock. The snub led to widespread controversy, with many questioning the integrity of the Grammy voting process. The Weeknd himself publicly called out the Recording Academy, tweeting that the Grammys were corrupt and that he and his team had been given no explanation for the snub. Reports later surfaced, suggesting that behind-the-scenes politics played a role in the decision. Speculations that The Weeknd's involvement in the Super Bowl halftime show may have clashed with the Grammy organizers, suggesting that the Grammys had deliberately excluded him, despite the overwhelming success of his album. The backlash was so intense that after that year, The Weeknd has boycotted the awards, refusing to submit his projects to the Grammys. SZA losing Best New Artist to Alessia Cara. Another shocking Grammy moment came in 2018 when SZA, who had dominated the year with her breakthrough album Control, lost the Best New Artist award to Alessia Cara. At the time, SZA had already established herself as one of the most exciting new voices in R&B, with Control receiving widespread acclaim. It was also a commercial juggernaut, leading many to believe that she was a lock for the award. Heading into the Grammys, SZA was the most nominated female artist of that year, earning 5 nominations, including Best Urban Contemporary Album and Best R&B Performance. However, when the Best New Artist award was announced, the trophy went to Alessia Cara, best known at the time for hits like Scars to You Beautiful and Stay. While she was undeniably talented, many felt that she wasn't truly a new artist, as she had been active in the industry for years. SZA's loss sparked outrage, with many pointing out that her music had a much larger cultural impact than Alessia's at the time. It also reignited conversations about how the Grammys define new artists. The loss was tough for SZA, but in the long run, it didn't slow her down. Control went on to be recognized as a modern R&B classic, and SZA's influence only grew stronger in the following years. She eventually got her Grammy moment in 2022 when she won her first Grammy for Kiss Me More. In 2024, her album SOS dominated the awards, winning Best R&B Song and Best R&B Performance. While the 2018 snub was disappointing, SZA's continued success proved that talent and longevity matter more than award wins. Drake and Justin Bieber losing Best New Artist. The 2011 Grammy Awards shocked the world when jazz musician Esperanza Spalding won the Best New Artist category, beating out 2 of the biggest rising pop stars at the time, Drake and Justin Bieber. Both artists had dominated the charts leading up to the Grammys, with Drake's Thank Me Later and Bieber's My World 2.0 solidifying them as household names. Bieber in particular was seen as the frontrunner, given his massive commercial success and superstardom. Meanwhile, Drake had transitioned from a TV actor to a respected rapper, already scoring multiple hits and dropping a successful album. Given their momentum, either one seemed to be a safe choice. The Recording Academy chose to recognize Esperanza Spalding, a jazz bassist and singer whose work was relatively unknown to mainstream audiences. Many fans were outraged, accusing the Grammys of snubbing popular artists in favor of more obscure hipster picks. The backlash was so intense that Esperanza's Wikipedia page was vandalized with hateful messages shortly after her win. Despite the loss, both Drake and Bieber went on to have legendary careers, proving that missing out on Best New Artist didn't really matter in the long run. Meanwhile, Esperanza Spalding continued her success in jazz circles, but never reached the same level of mainstream recognition. Macklemore and Ryan Lewis win over Kendrick Lamar. One of the most infamous Grammy upsets of all time came in 2014 when Macklemore and Ryan Lewis's The Heist won the Best Rap Album, beating out Kendrick Lamar's classic Good Kid, Mad City. While The Heist was commercially successful, spawning massive hits like Thrift Shop and Can't Hold Us, many in the hip-hop community felt that Kendrick Lamar had delivered a true masterpiece with Good Kid, Mad City. It was not just a commercial success, it was a deeply personal, critically acclaimed storytelling album that was undeniably the best rap album of that year. But the Academy went with Macklemore, igniting huge backlash. Even Macklemore himself thought the wrong artist had won. Shortly after the ceremony, he publicly shared a text message he sent to Kendrick, saying, "You got robbed. I wanted you to win. You should have. It's weird, and it sucks that I robbed you." While the message had good intentions, it only fueled the controversy further, as fans and critics felt it came off performative rather than genuine. Kendrick himself took the loss in stride, publicly saying nothing, but many in the media were vocal about their frustrations with the Grammys for once again snubbing hip-hop's most deserving artists. The backlash against Macklemore and Ryan Lewis left a huge mark in their career, and their dominance in the music industry quickly faded. Meanwhile, Kendrick continued to solidify himself as one of the greatest rappers of all time, going on to win multiple Grammys and even a Pulitzer Prize for his later work. The snub remains one of the most defining moments in Grammy history, showing how the awards go to the less deserving artists from time to time. Which Grammy snubs did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.